is up, Sneeples? Heavy Hitters Draft is here. We're going to be going over the brutes of the draft. We're going to go over what it is to be drafting brutes, what cards we want to see, as well as how to pick between Rhinar and Kayo. So let's get into it. First thing I want to mention is that we do have a Patreon where we have a draft ranking list. This will help you with your drafts. This will help you if you're sealed. This will just help you in general. If you want some one-on-one time, go ahead and give our Patreon a look. I hope to help you guys out with any draft and limited advice I can give you. Moving on, for brutes, there are 3 things we want to be doing. One is we want to be having a ton of 6 power attacks in our deck. Brutes work off of being able to function with these 6 power attacks, whether we are discarding them or attacking them. And that leads us to number 2. We want to try to have some discard mechanics within our deck. Whether we're going to be beating the chest or just drawing and discarding at random, we want to try to have discard in order to make either Rhinar or Kayo's ability happen. And then finally, agility is the name of the game here. We want to be coming in with 2 attacks, whether it is just 2 big attacks or attack and a claw, or maybe claw attack. Who knows? But that's what we want to do, is we want to attack multiple times, attack big, and be able to discard to trigger our hero's abilities. So let's get into the first pack of drafts. For the first pack, we are going to be looking for anything that is good. Alright, we're not going to be choosing brute as our hero before we even look at our pack. But what cards we can see that maybe will influence us to go brute are the following. We're looking at the commons of Assault and Battery. This card is insane. We see some of them, that's a good sign. Pack Hunt, another great card. Smashback Elhorn, love that card. Those are some very good viable commons that will really influence us to be brute. If we get like some rares like Rawhide Rumbler and Pack Call, that's looking good too. And even if we see a majestic bomb like Sin Packing, yes, that's going to be a very good sign we're going to be in brute. But as we're picking these cards, like the best cards that we see in the first 5 picks, you know, maybe some of them are going to be brute cards, maybe warrior, maybe guardian, maybe we're just, you know, kind of just picking the best cards. That's really what you want to be doing. What you really are also looking for is hybrid cards. These are cards that are like brute warrior, brute guardian. And what you're looking for there, as far as on the brute side, runner, bomb, just a straight bomb. Flat trackers, great common piece of equipment that can work with brutes and the warriors, as well as lead with speed and agile windup. Love these cards for brute. Clash of Might, Clash of Agility, these are also very good cards that are both brute warrior and brute guardian. So you can kind of pick some good brute cards in the beginning and then start picking hybrid cards to kind of let yourself be open. Maybe you start with brute but you end up being warrior, or you start with warrior and you end up being brute. Either way, allowing yourself to be open with how many hybrid cards and generics you can pick is very good. Because again, if we see a 6 power generic, maybe that's also good for us too. And then we can play any hero with that. Once we get into pack 2, we should have an idea of what class looks more open for us. And if that is the brute class, now in this second pack, we are going to be deciding if we are a Rhinar or Kayo deck. Some of the things that you're going to be looking for in Rhinar, if you choose to go in the Rhinar direction, is having your Intimidate trigger all the time. Every turn you either want to beat chest or find some way to discard a card to intimidate your opponent. That is to banish a card from their hand, making oftentimes blocks very tricky for your opponent. So with Rhinar, you're gonna either go 2 game plan styles. Go the big tall attack with Bonebreaker Bellows into an intimidate attack, or you're going to go draw and discard of some sort, or just discarding, and then come in with the claws afterwards. This obviously is going to need some agility, so you're going to look to try to get some agility token creation as well. Some of the cards that you really will only see Rhinar use and not Kayo are his 2 specializations, obviously, but I want you to save those until pack 3 where you know you're for sure going to be Rhinar. The other card that works very well with Rhinar, that not so much with Kayo, Mini Meat Axe is one thing that allows you to draw and discard, as well as intimidating your opponent, as well as activating your claw to come in with another weapon attack, and then maybe even finishing it with attack from hand. Trade-in is a generic card that works better with Rhinar than it would with Kayo. Kayo will still use it by any means, but Rhinar really makes that card work because it has go again, trigger the claws. You can go trade in claw, and then maybe end with another attack. It's funny how Rhinar can sometimes go wider because he has that extra hand. But let's talk about Kayo now. With Kayo, you are looking to try to go pretty wide. At the very least, you're trying to get a might token every single turn. Now with Kayo, cards like Wild Ride tend to work a lot better. The reason is because Kayo can work with 5 power attacks because they will count as 6 powers with Kayo's ability. So therefore, drawing and discarding a random card, if it is a 5 power attack, that's fine. That's okay. If it's Wild Ride, it has go again, you can keep going. If you were Rhinar, you discarded 5, turns over, that's your action point. So Kayo's a lot more forgiving with his 5 attack power, adding them into your 6 attack power count. So that is something that Kayo can do a lot better, and those are more Kayo oriented cards. Just in general, at this point in pack 2, you're gonna tend to pick your hero towards the end. Just keep in mind where you're at, but ultimately, once you are locked in with Brute, try your best to try to end at least with 12 6 power attacks, because that's about how much you need in order to efficiently be able to get your hero's triggers going off. So whether it's intimidating or getting the might token. Also with Brute, they tend to be a little bit more costly. Make sure you have anywhere about 10 to 12 blues. This is going to allow you to keep doing, you know, an attack into a claw or claw to attack. That's really what you want to be looking for when drafting for Brute. That's the end of pack 2. Pack 3, you can start getting the specialization cards. Kayo specialization, helmet piece, good. His action card, not good. Don't worry about drafting that. It is a block 3, so if you really wanted to, but it's not a 5 or 6 power attack, so it doesn't really work. I would say just pass that card along. It will probably even come back to you. But Rhinar, if you see a Sin Packing or a Monstrous Veil, pick that up immediately. At this point, you're pretty much locked in. And that's okay because it is pack 3. This is where you're just filling out the rest of your deck, looking for those blues, looking for those 6 power attacks. So that is the game plan style if you're drafting Brute. That is my advice for drafting Brutes, whether you're going to be Rhinar with the Intimidation or Kayo with the +1 might tokens. You should be able to have a very good time drafting Brute and just getting some damage through. Go out there, practice some draft. We got Warriors and Guardians coming up as well to learn how to draft them as well. So keep in tune with us. But until then, keep on fabbing.